Guys, want to follow up on yesterday's live because, or both of those lives, because they were kind of poop. I couldn't see what anybody was saying on the whole deal. So I kind of wanted to revisit. I cleaned up the boat a little bit for you. Yesterday was kind of like a rush live. By the way, we are at the East Tennessee Fishing Show. It's like second biggest fishing show in the country. It's happening right now. It's obviously in Tennessee. Don't know where, but if you're around that area, Alabama, Georgia, wherever, head down and see us. We're down there, I think, the whole weekend. I don't know if it goes till Sunday, but definitely tomorrow we'll be there all day. And is this public? Hey, what's going on, Max? How are you? How are things? It's good to see you. I can actually read your comment. That's good. Yesterday it was a mess. What's going on, Damien? I can also read yours. Hello. Yay, the glitch is fixed. Sweet. Yeah, I brought an extra phone there because I was going to read comments no matter what. I was going to figure it out. Hey, Al, what's going on, man? How are you? I just out here in the garage messing around. I think I'm going to have to blow out to Phoenix tomorrow and do some things. So just trying to get a live going. I'm pretty exhausted. I've been building this thing. I've been binging on it, but the more I go into it, the more intricate it gets and the more elegant. The more things have to happen to it because I keep thinking about scenarios. And it's really started to burn me out. I just need a break. I need to talk to you guys and show you what's been going on. Maybe you guys have some good suggestions. Possibly. So 24 people on this live. Can I get 24 likes, guys? Like, go down there, exit out of the chat, hit the like button, come back in the chat, ask your questions. We're definitely going to be going over the electric layout of here, and obviously some of the progress that we just got going on in general. And then I'll bust out the kit that I actually used to do this whole boat here very shortly. And well, let's flip it around. You guys any questions in the meanwhile? What size gas tank do I recommend for a 70 horse? Like an old Johnson 2-stroke? Do you need like a 12-gallon to make it? You'll run out of gas with a 6-gallon. Those things eat gas. They go fast though. 70 horse Johnson is money. 70 horse would make this boat scream. Okay. Yeah, I know we started this live a little late. Sorry about that, Al. But I'll try. I also don't have a whole lot of batteries, so we're not going to be dragging this along a lot. But I'm going to show you guys the layout. Then we'll be somewhere along the line. If we get a fair amount of likes, like 50 or so, we'll start giving away things. So we're at 15, only 35 more to go. Let me flip this thing around here. All right. If I can do this without hitting myself. All right, a little bit better. I got a little bit of a better phone stabilizer today. Big mess here. I got some questions about graphs. What kind of graphs do I prefer? So Garmin, their forward-facing sonar technology is unbeatable. So you'll probably see mostly one of these units, unless the person is sponsored and can't use them. You'll generally see a Garmin unit on most boats because their LVS34 transducer is pretty insane. And so, like, we'll talk about anchor options here pretty soon. There, Noah. But we're talking about overall actual down and side imaging and 360 imaging. Humminbird it's still the best, still the clearest, and still wins, provided that you have the right setup and that you get the most clarity and you get the least electric interference. They already have the bulbs here to stop the electric interference. Garmin has some, but you got to loop them through. They work, kind of. But I haven't actually done that. I was more concerned with getting the layout. That's a rod grommet. The way we've been doing our rod lockers, we don't use a rod grommet anymore. They're pretty useless in the rod locker, which cause more problems than they give. You have to have an exceptionally big rod locker for these to be useful. So now they just become wire grommets, and they're exceptionally nice looking wire grommets. Got one there. And then I know you can't tell because I had to undo this because it turned out that my layout for the transducer there wasn't going to work. But I had this all this wire laid in here. It was kind of terrible. Like it had to be all binded here, and I had to electrical tape it. And we have these trolling motor sleeves, but it was too skinny for all that wire, so we had to use actual like outboard cable sleeves. So we have these sleeves, trolling motor sleeve, which will handle any basic trolling motor very good, even like 1 or 2 wires through. And these, I ended up having to use this, and this was actually even tight, and this was way wider. Look how wide that is. It was still tight around all that. Because I also got the down and side imaging transducer for the Humminbird because it has really nice down and side imaging. And then once you go past a certain depth, the 360 is actually pretty useless. And then I just have a useless fish finder up there that I can't do much else. So switching it to this is something I wanted to do. But then it has a little splitter. The splitter comes here that you can join the transducer and the 360 into one cord that goes just one back here. But actually, it created all this extra wiring that I have no good place for other than to store it in the cable, which is kind of stupid. Like, it's just whatever. And I got the transducer there, 360. I've had this for a very long time. I've been storing on these things. I've had this Ultrex for like 3 years. I've been like hoarding it. And I wanted to put it on a different boat, but hey, better this boat than no boat. It was just gonna keep sitting in storage. So I kind of just compiled over like a few years, like 3 years now, guys, like all this stuff. And then some of this is new, but that's kind of what we did. And so so over here in the layout, 33 people, how you guys doing? How you doing? So what's going on, GSP? Oh, send to John Boats is in my chat. Oh my God. Hey, Chris, since you're here, you can help answer questions. Tell Nate and anybody else who wants to come on here and answer anything here. But we're gonna go back to the layout here. So obviously those are running through here. That's just the major grommet. Then we have some forward switches here, which we're gonna be doing a whole layout for. Actually, we're gonna be doing a whole wiring video of how we did these. But that's just really gonna control basic stuff like switches up here. When I'm always up front, I always need like just a few lights, but not to light up the whole boat. And I always have to go back here, turn on the lights, and then come back up here and do what I was doing anyways. So now we have one that just controls these rock lights. And then lights inside the day boxes. So we got lights ran inside the day boxes. And then we have all the wires ran through PEX because this will all be sealed in with pour foam. And the wire like flows seamlessly through the PEX. I don't know if you can tell that. You can see that. It's just moving right there. You can service this wire and service the light anytime because of how it's put in there. So it actually works really well. We're pretty happy with the PEX. And or PIC line. I don't know if it's true PEX, but it's like the PEX, the plastic water line, pretty much what it is. Then we have down here we have a subfloor that meshes up to the very, very front, right up to the front rib. And we sealed it all because it was like it was the original deck of this boat, but then we put it down there because it was super thin and not going to work with what we had. And then we just put a bunch of tape over the random holes so pour foam can't actually stop in there. We foamed in areas. We have drain tubes. Some of them are actually ran through the floor. You can see that one. That's the actual tube to the trolling motor tray. So just all the water can drain. There's 4 ports in each of these day boxes. These are 8-inch deep day boxes that will store a ton of stuff. Got 2 of them. And got ports everywhere. I mean, all of the water, it'd be very, very hard for these to flood in with water with 4 ports. And all of it's just going to drain right down into the subfloor. And these will all be encapsulated with foam. And the reason for that is because not only will it stiffen up the boat and just ride better, and it's obviously reserve buoyancy is a must, them encapsulating the day boxes will very, very much minimize like loudness, vibration into the water. It will dampen it tremendously, which is a big deal because I'm all about stealth. I don't know about you guys. But I'm pretty huge on stealth. Like if you're trying to be quiet going places and you're not just rummaging around and slamming hatches everywhere, I have noticed my fish count go up tremendously. It's definitely a big thing. And so I just always I've tried to make it very stealthy to the point of putting door edge guard on the side of these, which isn't really a necessary must, but it does help with quietness. Otherwise you got that aluminum clang. Then the EVA foam by itself dampens it out a lot and if you have that here, and then we also line in here with EVA foam. So that will also help, but not as much as when we actually do the foam around the whole thing. And then all these lines will be encapsulated. We did run black PVC pipe. This is like really light and super flexible piping. You don't have to heat it to bend it. It just bent naturally straight through here. And then when it got too deep and too skinny, we went to flex hose. That plastic flex hose. It's kind of hard to run stuff through there and snake stuff through there, so you can't do super long runs like you can PVC, but in a pinch, it is definitely way more flexible and it worked. So we ended up running stuff there. We're gonna have to run another conduit back this way. I don't know if you can see in there. We got PEX lines running. I added more ports to this one. This is the this is my gearbox. Like, I always have to charge things, and I never have a spot to charge them. Like batteries, I'm always struggling to charge. I always run out of GoPro batteries, Insta360 batteries. My phone is always dying, and there's no good place to put it. So we made a day box here. This is an Aqua Amp, like wireless phone charger. We just stick your phone right here. It will do its thing. But then we have, obviously we have 4 ports, a 3.0 USB purge. That's probably what we're mainly going to use, but I definitely want to install this thing because we got it for free at a show and it just looked cool. But it does work. Works better if you have a Droid. Let me see here. So conduits galore. And then we had to end up running some conduits here because the black box for the live scope, that thing, there was no good place to put it but in here. This is supposed to be mainly my tackle box area. It has turned into slight storage for the black box and for other stuff. There's another conduit there. I ran it. That's a just in case conduit. So bigger thing is when I build these boats, like when you build a boat, you should make just in case things like that conduit, like foreseeable for the future. Because these graphs and that trolling motor, those are just good today. Later on, when you're out there in the world and then new things come out and you're going to want to upgrade them and they have some big fat fitting or some weird odd area with only this length of cord, you're going to be like, dang, my boat, I wish I would have made more conduits. So that's been me for at least a few boats now. And so no more. We're going to add conduits everywhere, add different scenarios, different options. And so now that's there. And then once it's all solidified in the foam, once the foam is in there, that's what makes it extremely unserviceable if there's no conduits. And even though there was no foam in here, the PEX line and the PVC pipe make the wire very much able to be slid in and out if you need to. Run new wires, you can totally do it. And that's the main reason. And also this box here is elevated just above the main floor. So it's its own additional floor. That's its own additional 3rd floor, higher than the subfloor, which is higher than the main floor. So water getting in here, we're gonna have drain ports onto the subfloor, which will drain out to the main floor. Just in case ports, but we also have pretty nice generous ports. They're better than anything else on the industry as far as like water draining, which you can also add more. We added more here, and those are pretty easy. We did that out of the same stuff, out of the same PEX. Very easy to heat up and flare out, and just put extra ports. So these we're gonna be giving away once we hit like 50 likes. So guys, hit that like button if you want a fish finder. So I got a lot of questions about graphs. Well, not a lot, but a few questions about graphs. So I'm biased. I want Humminbird. So I got their Gen 4 Mega SI or Mega DI. They're really nice. Obviously the Helix is the cheaper non-touch screen version of it. I'm fine with that. I don't care. The Solix is tremendously more money and doesn't do much more. So I just deal with this, and I'm going to have a 7-incher. A 7-incher up there might be a little too small because you're standing and looking right at it. A 9-inch is like minimum, kind of what you want. But back here, I'm going to be sitting. This is mainly just for general navigation and down inside imaging. And I actually, as I'm motoring, I'm trolling or going slow speed on the motor, and then just watching it. That's all this is really going to be for Mega Live, and it comes with everything you need except for the cover. You have to buy the cover separate. I think that's stupid, but like whatever. And then this is the box that we have. These are the day boxes. I'm not going to have a whole lot of room to put these everywhere like I want because the cockpit is kind of small. This is like a tackle junkie build, and I might actually end up adding one more extra hatch like as a step up, but to store all the extra stuff like I don't know, my emergency items. And I also might not do that and just put day boxes everywhere, but I would like 3 or 4. Well, 3, 1, 2, and 3. And right here will be the electrical area, and I need that panel open because I'm gonna have the switches on the side facing in that I can just touch. And I do. That's my favorite layout. I have these conduit. I wanted to run 3, but it was really tight around that bend in that day box, and I knew it was gonna be tight, so I was only able to add 2, and I got around it with the flex hose and some PEX. But really, I'm trying to channel most of the main boat wiring, like for the lights and the accessories, in one, and then I have one conduit completely separate down here for just the fish finder wires, which are supposed to be arguably separated as far as they can be from the regular houseboat wires for electrical interference reasons. The UHD fish finders have less clarity. I don't really know. I don't even know why I buy all that stuff. Like I do know, and it does work, but I definitely don't video game fish. It's not my thing. And like the live scope, I do like it to find fish and to find depth. It does see things. It helps you when you're in a pinch and you need to figure out a pattern. But when I can, I just turn it off. It's also loud. It's also loud, and so is all the sonar. And if you know the fish are there, turn all the stuff off. Float in there, do your thing, and just fish. And then stop looking at that screen, getting stuck chasing fish. They're going to be going everywhere. And I don't know. Like, I just found it gets depressing. It can be depressing. So I just turn it all off. But it does help you find them. I did go without it because I thought I didn't need any more. I do miss them. That's why they're on this boat, on the budget build. I did take it all off, and now it's back all on. So here, check this out. This is just a 12 by 30 hatch. Sorry, this is just a 12 by 30 hatch. And this was going to be the original battery compartment, but we're going to stick a 36-volt battery pack, and cramming all these batteries in there would be really tough. So this is just going to actually end up being kind of like how, the bass tracker we reviewed, how that has that gear store back here, right where the live well should be, but it's not. That's where our gear stow will be for life jackets, anchors, any sort of wet terminal stow. Right there, generally is in the front, but the only time where it's really good in the front is when you have a V-hull, and we don't have one. We have stupid John boat, and that's fine. But 1230 rear facing. The rear facing is just a 3-sided hatch, beefed up to be rear facing, so you need no extra brace to have to mount it. It just mounts like this to the front, and then your hatch just freely floats in the back. It's actually really nice. Otherwise, I'd have to have a beam under here. I'd have to butt it up to the transom, make something fancy. It saves a lot of actual extra work. It actually comes with a jumbo kit. And then here's the live well hatch. The live well, if you order with the lid and if you order with a latch, you can get locking latches. This is how it will actually come. And we installed quite a bit. All these hoses are back here because they're all able to be taken off. So I took all these off, including the bilge, and because they got the quick locks. So I installed it all, then took it all off because we're not done. And got it back here. Actually even went so far as to put quick lock fittings here on the bilge bracket, and they flare out at a much tighter degree. It actually looks really good, and they move. So I actually would like to show you the back. But and in a tiller life build like this, you need to move from front to back, not back to front. It was initially going to be a console build, so I was going from back to front, and then I gave that up. I just gave it up. I was like, nope, tiller. So I got the perfect motor for this boat. And then, but here's where we installed that. And this is off for the moment, but this was a quick release. And the one thing I did do that, I strongly regret doing was there's holes here and there, and I regret not welding those holes up and making new holes to make this just much more seamless and easier to run. So I tried to redo the new holes, which is for these ports, and then it ended up using much more line, and it cuts off your area for your bilge brackets. So the bilge pumps are up farther up than I would like, but they'll still be all right. It's just not, you want your bilge pumps all the way in the back. You really do. I know it's only like, what, 4 inches, but 4 or 5 inches, that matters because the water tapers. Remember, it tapers, and especially when it hits the float switch, the farther back it is, the easier it is to activate the float switch. And it's a little far up, so that means the whole back's going to be pretty flooded before the float switch operates, which kind of pisses me off. But you can't really do nothing about it. But these do come right off. That's a quick release. Comes right off. So if you ever have to troubleshoot anything or readjust anything, I mean, if you're in a tournament and there was money on the line and someone had a live well issue or an issue with your gas tank or something back here with your bilge pump, it would just be a tremendous pain ever trying to take that off without a quick release. Like the hoses, they don't want to come off once you clamp them on. Same thing here. This all comes off. This is the valve. The valve works extremely well. So, I mean, once it's an auto, Once it's an auto, you just set it and forget it. And it's just good. So good. Then we have one conduit here, which is the flex. Sorry, we have one conduit there, which is the flex hose. And you can see that one. And that, again, is probably going to be probably for the starter, the starter cables for the motor. And then we're going to run an additional one above, probably out of PVC, specifically for the fish finder, the transducer. Or we might run the fish finder transducer wire through here. I actually don't know how big it's going to be. I kind of really don't like this flex hose here. I almost want to add PVC. I did end up flaring out PVC. I just end up biting the bullet and doing it. And that's actually going to go in here, back this way. Obviously a longer piece to meet up here. So I can filter wires through here. And then again through here, it's going to go this way. And actually that way too. Well, I actually already have one here, which actually has a trolling motor wire. This one has a trolling motor wire. I need another one in there just in case. So have a lot of just in case conduits that are going to be pretty useless until we have to upgrade the boat. And then, but that's what you kind of want. I was going to run conduits inside here, but then it became, it was like, I was like, no, that's stupid. So we're going to tighten these up. Foam, put EVA foam over them. We're going to drill holes in the port because the whole point with these was that you're going to have holes on the side because all this is a complete hollow gap. The ribs connect the entire boat together aside from these little side flanges that I really didn't want to do, but I don't have enough terrible faith in where we tied the frame into on here for the ribs to just completely work. So I tied them into the hole very lightly, and then obviously we try to tie them into the ribs as best we could. But I'll tell you, we probably could have done it better. I'm gonna once over a lot of this stuff before we tie it up completely. But yeah, like the whole thing is that there's just a complete hollow void underneath the whole frame. So no matter how much water gets in here, it is never going to get into the actual foam because the foam is separated off from and it's going to be sealed up. We're going to be putting aluminum panels all over this once we pour the foam in. And once we pour the foam in, if water can only go to the side and drain or to the bottom and drain, it'll be extremely hard for the foam to ever go bad because of water saturation. So everybody hates pour foam because of water saturation, but I'm telling you, hold on. But I'm telling you that pour foam is only bad because of poor layouts in a boat. And so these layouts, you'll probably never see a layout like this because it's just not productive for any boat company to ever put out a layout like this. It's not cost effective. Even my own guys will be like, don't do it. Why are you doing all that? I'm doing all that because it's my personal boat. I'm not building for anybody. I'm on my own timeline. And so I can take the extra time to do these steps that I know are really needed after building X amount of boats. And that's why they're like that. That's why I've been burning myself out. The rigging is the hardest part. But after that, it's pretty smooth sailing. So it's just something that I kind of put up with. But you can make it as complicated or as not as possible. You got 40 people in here. At 50 likes, we will be one of these away. We're also at the East Tennessee Fishing Show. We have a booth there, guys. If you're in Tennessee and you're going to go to that show, it's the second biggest show in the country, right next to ICAST. Definitely go and check that out. Chris, have you been answering questions, or I got to come back here and mop up everything? Yeah, so definitely Southern style lawn care. I know there's some people out there that are complaining that foam is bad for the boat and it should be illegalized, but that's only because every boat they rip open has a pour foam layout where water was naturally going to just sink in there and saturate it all. There are some boats that are just doomed to fail. They were doomed to fail the minute they were designed. That's a lot of them on the market. You'll never know until they fail. So let me see here. Got to go. The hull and ribs. The hull and ribs. Well, I did tie into the hull and the ribs, but I really didn't want to tie into the hull, but I did. So it's good. Yeah. So yeah, and Senator John Boats is actually really, that's Chris. He's actually really good at electrical stuff. He actually made this kit, guys. Check this kit out. Here, hold on. I'm just gonna set this here, please. It might fall. This thing is not terribly useful. Here, hold on. All right, check this out. So after wiring X amount of boats, and then one of the biggest questions we have, if we have a kit for anything, it's because we keep getting the same residual and redundant questions about it. What kind of framing do I need? How do I fasten it? What kind of hatch size? What kind of lid size? Can't you just make a kit that's easy for everybody to get? So we did. This one might be a little difficult. This is an unrealistically ridiculous kit. Like the 1648 we just did is a little, obviously a little bit easier to build than this one. But part of this is not just the framing, it's the wiring. And we always get questions on wiring. Even despite how many tutorials we have on YouTube, we always get questions on wiring. How much of this do I need? How much of that do I need? We finally just got it down to a science. Mainly thank you to Chris from Senate John Boats, who's in the chat, just talking it up, wasting all my airtime. But he's in here. He put this actually together. And what this is like the premium ultra kit that wires everything. So it's specifically for a boat that you're going to throw a lot of crap in. So we have trolling motor wire. That's 6 gauge. We just did away with 6 gauge. You could use 8 gauge in some applications, but most trolling motors run really good off of 6 gauge. It's just better to use it. These are not part of the kit. When we have ring connectors of different sizes. Those, obviously, you would use those for connection to the battery. These for the actual fuse block. These are even different sizes. Like, then we have butt connectors. These are all 12 to 10 gauge butt connectors. The yellow is 12 to 10. The blue is 14 to 16. So this is your 10 gauge, and there is a lot of it here. That is some thick stuff. That is not even Blue Sea. What is this? That's not Anchor Marine. This is Pacer Marine. That is some thick coating. Man, look at that. That's better than Anchor. Sweet. I should have put this in my boat. I already stuck Anchor Marine wiring in there. It's too late. Crap. Oh, okay. And then here's 16 gauge. What 16 gauge is good for? Lights. And like small strips of LEDs, but like courtesy lights. Like there's courtesy lights somewhere. Oh, look, here's some courtesy lights. Like these. Dang, I should have put these in there. Man, I should have looked at this kit earlier. I can still put those in there somewhere. But these is 16 gauge. You can always read it. Like 2 conduit, 16 gauge. This is duplex. Duplex is just, it means you don't have to buy 2 spools of wire. It just comes right in a white sleeve. It's super easy. You split the end like 3 to 4 inches up, and you can separate the sleeve from the wire. And it's so much easier to install. Duplex is the way. Otherwise, you buy 2 spools, have to do twice the work. It twists in the conduit, but this stuff just slides right through there. See that? Seamless installation. And these kits are also tagged in this live. You guys want to check these lives out? There's a way to tag them. There's a way for you to look them up. The kits are actually attached right to this live. And so we got that. And then obviously you need spade connectors. I think that's what they're called, right? Well, they're the connectors that go into the actual, the switches. Yeah, spade connectors. So we have these, which you're going to need a lot of these because if you're not going to use 12 gauge for everything or 10 gauge for everything, you're still going to be doubling up 14 gauge. If you're especially going to daisy chain wires to wire your panel, you're going to be needing these. You can't do it. These are barely big enough for 14, but 14 doubled up equals like 12 or 10. So that's how we got that going. And then we got butt connectors for 14 gauge, 14 to 16. So you can't go below 16. You cannot go below 16. I know, Wayne, we're definitely going to be giving away those fish finders. Thank heaven. I can't wait to get them out of my garage. But just give me a second. Let me go through this kit. And then we got, obviously, ring connector. Yeah, I got a lot. You guys should be able to wire anything. That's a lot of connectors. Like that whole connector kit will cost you a lot of money. We buy them in bulk, piece them out with the ideal amount that you need, and you actually save money getting them that way. And then also for the trolling motor wire, because they don't actually make butt connectors, well, sometimes they do, but they're extremely expensive and not that great. At that point in time, you're just going to start getting pieces of metal like this. This is tin copper butt connectors, 6 gauge. That's why they're so huge. Look like a darn shell, like a bullet. But they're not. This is a butt connector thing. And then we give you actually heat shrink to go right over that. This is the exact size heat shrink you need. We also add battery lugs. And so in place of ring connectors, and butt connectors, you're going to be getting battery lugs, and then obviously these butt lugs, whatever you call them, whatever. And then these, a little bit bigger. One of these should fit. Generally, most lithium batteries and standard lead acid AGM batteries have quarter 20 terminals, and these should go right on them. We'll even send you some stickers. What's this? I don't even know what this is. This a fuse block? Oh yeah. So there's ways to wire fuses. I mean, wire stuff to your. A lot of people like to, because your fish finder needs your fish finders kind of need, especially UHD ones like all that, need their own separate circuit. A lot of times it's even better just to direct wire it to the battery, but that does get stacking. So if you got a bunch of black boxes and fish finders and nonsense, you stack 6 ring terminals on top of each other in a battery. It's not good. It's not a good look, and it looks stupid, and it also doesn't work very effective. At that point in time, you either need to run 2 different batteries to split your electronics, or you run it all to a bus bar on one. And a 6 gang is generally enough for the fish finder. Like this one, this would be my Echo Map, the 9-inch Humminbird, 7-inch, the 9-inch helix, 7-inch helix, black box, possibly the puck. And there's something else. Oh yeah, the 360. Yeah, I'd have enough right here. If I didn't, I'd have to go to a 12 gang. That would be a little excessive. But we're going to be running. This is actually, I think, a 12 gang. Yeah, it is. Look at that. That is going to be just enough for all the sheer amounts of lights and accessories we're going to be running. So it's funny, we're only going to be running 3 pumps, and the rest are going to be lights. And you see how fast this thing fills up? Fills up extremely fast. And even if you don't fill up all these, you end up almost always filling up the grounds, because there's extra ground wires coming from the UHD finders. We have a plan for that too. What's this? You wrapped it up like a Christmas present? Oh. Dang it, I needed this. I really should have looked into that. I saved the unboxing right now because I wanted to be surprised, but really I truly needed this. Up there. Oh, it's still not too late. Yes, it is. Never mind. Forget it. It's too late. We've gone too far. Fuck. Oh, hell yeah. He sent this in here too. We come with a standard one. I don't know if Chris Hydro Dips has Hydro Dip ones in stock, but he has the sickest Hydro Dip ones in stock for switch panels. And I'm saving those for a rainy day. But you can even use the whole switch panel. The bigger thing about the switch panels is you have area to put USB chargers. You can put 1 or 2 if you want. These are just USB 3.0. You can buy these on Amazon all day. And then we also sell them installed. Some people just want a blank panel with none, so they can install 2 specifically to their liking. But some people don't care about this stupid panel. They don't care about the aesthetics. They just want switches that work, especially in consoles. You don't have room for all this. That's what these are really good for. These are also going to tie right flush into the side of the boat, and it's going to be very good, like right in there. And they're all night lights, 5-pin. We have tutorials on it. We're gonna do an even deeper tutorial. I've got these wired extensively here. I can even show you, but they come with connectors. And I mean, I would cut out that male spade connector at the end and then just direct wire it to the harness. But you can actually just use these to wire. We have a live where we actually went through it, but I'm gonna make a dedicated YouTube video of wiring this whole thing because we're getting right down to the wire. Oh, the voltage thing. So this only is not gonna work for my setup because I have lithium. But if you have AGM or lead acid, the voltage meter is absolutely a key thing. It does work. Fantastic. This is a really nice LED. You see, those are LEDs. That's not that cheap little bulb in there. This is an actually good, well-functioning back nav light. And then there's a front nav light in here that I don't know where it is. Oh, it's right here. This one has a little switch on there for you. It's also LED. You can look in there. So these are actually nicer. You can't find better stuff at Walmart or even Bass Pro. They got like the standard run-of-the-mill cheapies, but Chris actually sourced some really nice ones. So I'm very happy to have these. I'll be very happy to put those in here. We also have cutoff switches. If you're getting the big premium kit, there's actually 2 of these in here. I think I have one floating around, but there was 2 of those in there. One for your main power, and then one for your UHD for all your grass, especially your black box. Since even though they have 2 generations of this thing, They never thought to put an on-off switch on that stupid thing. Even, I hope on your LBS 36 or whatever it is, Garmin, like you freaking get a clue and you put an on-off switch, because people have to like put on cutoff switches just to turn your stupid unit off. You should have figured that out after the first unit that you needed a cutoff switch, but whatever. Is this the other one? Yeah. All right, 2 of them. And then, obviously, this includes the safety kit. You get the premium kit, which is ironically, if you get a safety kit and then you get like the standard kit, it's almost as much as the premium kit. I don't know how Chris did it, but he got most of it all together. If you get the premium, like the Supreme kit, whatever it's called, it gives you everything. So you get the boat electrical safety kit with an 1100 GPH bilge. And if you left your boat plug out, this bilge will pump out water faster than your boat plug can fill your boat up with water. So you have to have a pretty serious failure to ever overpower this bilge. And if you have 2 of these in here, like I have 2, I have one on a float switch and this is one on a standard, and that is like 2200 GPH. That boat, I would just have to have some massive, obscene, like major gash, like a bear claw, and for me to sink. Just, which if you're smart, it just doesn't happen. Then we give you nice, flexible bilge hose. It's pretty nice. It's extra wire, man. Look at, what is this? 14. Oh yeah, this is 14. He gave me more 14? Oh, we only looked at 16. What is this? Is this more 16? I must have like stuck this in here. I can't even tell. Yeah, 16. Okay. All right, there we are. Oh yeah, obviously, for the trolling motor, will that be complete without, dang, a 70 amp? That's pretty serious. I like to run lower ones, but I guess 70 amps, especially for 36 volt, you might need those. I think that 6 gauge is rated up to 70 amps. At 70 amps is how much 6 gauge. That's why we give you a deeper one. But you can always run a smaller one, like a 60 or a 50. If you're in constantly chronically cold weather, you would want a smaller one, like a 50 amp, because it'll kick. Because even though like everything's cold, when in cold weather, wire will heat up and melt, and this thing will never kick off because it's like the cold stops it from knowing it's supposed to kick off. But if you're at a lower amperage, the cold can't really stop it. I mean, if you're a lower amp sensor, then it kind of defects away from that. So I always try to run a smaller one. But if you're constantly flipping off a 50 or a 60, you can go all the way up to a 70, which is what we're going to run in this one. We might run a small. We'll see. But this whole kit wired this boat. It did, and it did it very. Hello, am I still there? You guys there? I'm here again. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I don't know. Maybe my battery's about to die, so maybe I should stop talking about the boat and get to these giveaways. What I think about PVC board? I don't think much of it. I think PVC board is not good. PVC holds on to heat excessively bad, like worse than aluminum, worse than anything, worse than wood, definitely worse than wood. And I just would never use PVC. It also shrinks and expands with temperature change. And then imagine a shrinking and expanding PVC deck. I think PVC is not good in a boat at all, except for you're running conduit pipes. That's it. And I would never, ever use it for anything else in a boat. All right. The switch block. Let me see. All right. So see, Chris, you got most of the questions here. 23. Yeah, it seems like you guys are just having a pretty good conversation here. You don't see. Okay, you guys are just having a good time. If you guys have any questions, I'm reviewing the chat now. But I definitely, yeah, I would just run with a wood deck, or I'd go all aluminum. We're doing all aluminum here, but there are advantages to wood decks. They don't last 60 years. But preserve right, they last a very long time, and they actually feel, in my opinion, a little bit more solid than the aluminum decks, unless you're using excessive. In order for an aluminum deck to feel extremely, extremely well solid, there has to be a lot of cross braces, or the sheet itself has to be really thick, and by that point in time, it's actually heavier than wood, and I don't really know if it's worth it. And so, yeah, the decks don't last like 60 years, but neither is anything else in the boat. The only thing that's going to last really on the boat is the aluminum, but we have done one out of wood, and I'm actually very happy with how solid the boat feels. Due to build a small V-hull with a PVC board. Oh. His board got warped and destroyed. Well, yeah. I mean, it's not meant to be in sun. Like, look, this is PVC here. This stuff. And look at it. It's already singed from the sun. This is actually brittle. I didn't use this stuff because, well, I might still use it. This black conduit stuff is, for some odd reason, way lighter than the white. And flares out and does everything just like this one. And so I've been running that because I had to run. That PVC is actually really heavy too, by the way. Like that black stuff is different type of it. So it's actually really light. I'm happy I found it because the only alternative to PVC tubes is like golf tubes, and those things are junk. But those work really well. But other than that, PVC, if you stack like, you know, 6, 7 of those things in there, that's like a lot of pounds. Like they're heavy. They're heavy. They get heavy really quickly. If you're trying to be conscious of weight in your boat, then yeah, how to get larger gauge. Mates to lower gauge, 12 to 16. If you have 16 gauge and you're trying to run it 12 gauge, strip an extra piece, like a longer strip off the wire, and then fold the wire over until it fits snugly in the butt connector or the ring connector. And that's how you would get it. Have I lost new parts in pour foam? I went through extensive taping and countermeasures to stop myself from pour foam loss. Yes, I have lost and have had serious fails with pour foam almost every time I poured it. And I think about it. Like I sit here and I think, and I'm like, okay, how are we going to do this without screwing it up this time? I try so hard. I like think and I'm like, I got this. And then it's going well. And then it'll expand this way or deflate it, or there's like a hole, or I don't really know. And then sometimes it just busts through seams it's not supposed to bust through. And then like this foam that we got here, which is all we could really use, sometimes it breaks through that and goes where I don't want it to go anyways, and you have to clean it up or just deal with it, which is why I started using the duct tape. So the duct tape is everywhere. The duct tape, the pour foam has not broken past the duct tape. And so I have tried to just use duct tape. Everywhere where there's not such a heinous gap that that duct tape doesn't make sense. So that's kind of where we're doing. And plus I ran all these conduits so I don't lose anything. And then we'll be taping this off with plastic and painter's tape so the pour foam can't come and mess up my paint job or mess up the frame. We'll be pouring, and probably in smaller spurts to make sure we don't have a really rapid rise, because I think pouring 60, 80 ounces of pour foam in this and just expecting it to go well is not a good idea. So we'll probably be pouring small amounts for the first time ever. We're going to be doing a small amount thing and then sealing it all off. It'll be dope. It'll be all right. It'll be good. All right. So I know we lost connection. You guys got 61 likes. Appreciate it. This is a Lowrance Hook 4X. I'm actually giving 3 of these away. One's out of the box. So you'll get, the next one will come in a Topo Chico box. And the other ones will actually come in the original packaging. If you've been in this live, yeah, I did not destroy my shop vac. My shop vac actually lived. I don't talk about that. Why are you bringing up old stuff? What is wrong with you? All right, here, let me talk. So we're currently having a show right now. We're actually at a show. If you've been in this live long enough, which one is it? Dang, Damien got it fast. Damien's going to build a whole boat with our stuff because he keeps winning these live. All right, Damien. You got this one. Here it goes. All right. Damien has got a fish finder. DM me, Damien. You know the drill. Or email me, whichever. All right, Damien, you are excluded from answering the next question because you've already won one and you can't have 2. But I don't want to be mean, but I gotta give these guys a chance. Okay. All right. Chris from Senate John Boats is famous for why? He is famously known for doing what in his videos that is very controversial and kind of creepy, but still funny. Wiring, he actually does have a good wiring video, but it's not what he's known for. He is known for mud motors. He is also known for Gator Glide, but it's not it. No, not hatches. The unicorn. Oh, he got it. Who's Robert Beck got it. Dominic Glimp almost got it. But the unicorn. Yep, Robert. So Chris from Senate John Boats likes to dress up in a unicorn costume with a tutu. You should check out his videos when you can. So who just got that one? Robert Beck. Robert Beck. Robert Beck. All right, I'm gonna write your name down. I already know who Damien is. Damien is a very, very active person in this community. Robert Beck. Robert Beck. Robert, please email me at mike@tbnation.net with your address and tell me that you won this. And I'll be able to verify. Just send me stuff, and we'll send you off a fish finder. He also yells too. Yep, he's also famous for that. But I think the unicorn is the most profound thing that Chris does. That's disturbing. Everything else is just weird, but the unicorn. You know, one time he showed up to a guide service wearing that unicorn costume, and the guy he told him to go away. He wouldn't let him on the boat. It's like actually on the internet somewhere. Oh yeah, the battery charger. Let me get. How do you enter the giveaway? Just be here. You little goon. I think I said your name right. Okay, battery charger. All this stuff is going to fall. Pay no attention. All right. It was for the common good. All right, so Pro Charging Systems, Dual Pro / made the Dual Pro Real Pro charger. This one will charge lead acid and AGM batteries at 5 amps, which is a really good charging. They now have a new model, an RS4 model, which charges everything and just has a universal. It has a universal smart box in here, which just knows what the battery is. So it'll just charge at the selected algorithm. So this one's kind of old news, but it's still a really good charger for anybody who's running lead acid or AGM batteries. So for the question here, since we're talking about Tennessee, while we were doing a tin can crew build in Tennessee, we went fishing, which sucked. It was just not a good time to go fishing. It was miserable. Well, on Lake Chickamauga. But Nate caught a pretty nice bass. How big was that bass? Dominic got it. And then Damien got it. And then Southern. Here, let me ask you a question and answer it truthfully. Damien and Dominic, are you going to try and put this fish? Oh, never mind. Don't you guys already have a battery charger? Do you really need two? Like, be honest. Be honest. Do you need two? Because I sent you that one. Oh, well, I'm waiting for them to respond. If you need it, I'll definitely send it to you because you did win it. Dominic did win it. But if you guys already have one, you would save it for lithium, but the other one works. Well, this one doesn't work for lithium. This one just works for AGM, lead acid AGM. Their new model works for lithium. So that's why I'm giving this one away, because it's old. Do you still want it? Because if Richard, you need one? Starter? Okay. Well, I don't have another one. I'm just trying to see if Dominic still needs it. Okay. All right. So Dominic graciously whooped all of you, but is still willing to give it away to the person who. So it was just Southern Style Lawn Care was the next person right underneath Dominic to guess 8, and it was an 8-pounder, and it was a pig, and it was right at the boat, and it was ridiculous. So, and that was the only real good fish we caught. Other than that, it was a mess. We were frogging. What an exhausting way to fish that lake. It was like my wrist hurt, and then Nate was just cracked out on Red Bull. Like, we were tired. I was like over it, right? And then he just kept on. Every time he got tired, he would just chug Red Bull. He was like 5-6 Red Bulls in. His heart was gonna explode. Caught the fish. I don't really know. He did it. All right. So Southern Style Lawn Care. Write that down. Southern Style. No, that's the wrong thing. Southern Style Lawn Care. Same thing with you. Email me at mike@tbnation.net. Say, I won the battery charger. This is my address. And we'll get it off to you next week. It's a little too late to send it this week. Glade, let me check again. It was Glade? Let me look. Because On my end, it is not. Let me see. Use it. Dominic said 8, then Damien said 8. Then Damien got another one in 9, then 4, then 3, then Southern Star Lawn Care got 8. And Glade also got 8, but you're like 2 or 3 people below Southern Style Lawn Care. So on my end, I can only really go on my end to verify it. I'm sorry if it's glitching on you, Glade. Tell you what, if you email me and you think if it's doing you dirty like the chat is, email me. I'll send you some stickers. Same email, mike@tbnation.net. And I'll email you a set of decals as a consolation for the glitch failing you. We all had our time with those glitches and all that nonsense. All right, guys, I'm pretty sure my phone's going to die. And I ran out of things to give out. But I'm also very happy so far with this. It is stressing me out. I probably need to take a day or so away from it. Yeah, so I'm going to probably head out to Phoenix and do some things tomorrow. But we'll be coming back. HDPE for the transom. Well, here's the whole thing about plastic. Once it gets hot, it starts to warp. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, they use Kusa board. That's composite. So I don't actually really know. Yeah, I'll try. Damien, email me about the sticker. I'll try and throw a sticker in with the fish finder that you guys got. And yeah, I'll send you some stickers. I'm surprised I haven't even done that yet. Yeah. What was I talking about? There we went. Garmin Striker, Lowrance hook for budget finder. Yeah, definitely. The Garmin Striker. I actually had a Garmin Striker CV, and they're pretty good. They have almost the same amount of range as the UHD Echo Maps. They're just non-UHD. Pretty much the Striker is a non-UHD Echo Map. It still even has maps. I don't know if it has downloadable maps, but you can still see, or if it shows transition lines like that. But you can see and mark tracks through a lake on a Garmin Striker. So definitely, I would say Garmin Striker probably wins. I don't know. Wasn't terribly impressed with the hook over the Garmin. I think the Garmin did outperform the hook, but the hook does still do well. This is a nice basic Betty for navigation. It's going to give you water temp, clarity, depth, show you where there's a hill. And the structure or the bait balls or the fish, it's a slim chance it could be either one of those things. It could be not fish and structure, and you could just hook a log, or it could be fish. Well, some of the V's there, definitely a fish. It depends. You got to be pretty good at reading old school sonar, and you can eat it up on it. But the hook stuff, the hook 2 stuff, they did out pretty good. They did pretty good. Piece of HDPE. 1-inch HDPE has got to be extremely strong. And as long as it doesn't touch the sun or be exposed to heat for excessively long periods of time, it probably would last forever. It's not going to last as long as an aluminum transom. But I think HDPE, I think they make, like Starboard is all HDPE. I'm almost positive that they do have HDPE decks on saltwater boats. Because the only thing that lasts in salt, not even aluminum lasts in salt, it's either stainless steel or HDPE or fiberglass with anti-fouling compound. Those are the only things that really make it out there in the salt. And Starboard is actually used a lot more on the East Coast. I don't have a whole lot of, we're never going to put that on here because Starboard is extremely heavy. HDPE is extremely heavy. By the time you get an inch thick, HDPE has got to be a lot of, as big as a transom, that's got to be a lot of weight. And I do not think, email is mike@tbnation.net, Southern Style. We're talking boat stuff, and obviously this is a boating and fishing channel, so we are talking a little bit rusty about fishing. We did go over our layout and what we got here and why we did what we did. But that was way a long time ago before the giveaways. And so I'm going to go ahead and end this live because I have to go. Never mind. Hold on. The Helix 9, Gen 4 Mega SI, the Garmin Echo Map Special, and then the 9 is for the 360, and the Garmin is for the LVS 34. And then we have, that one is just going to be a personal. The Helix 7 is just going to be right here. because I really value having a fish finder right there to just for general navigation and looking at stuff while I'm motoring out. Or it might actually be right here. Wherever I sit. I don't like to run my decks out this far in a tiller build. This is probably about 8 or 9 inches too much more than what I would like. Personally, I would like it right here. Even like this whole compartment not here would be better. I'd have a bigger cockpit, and then I'd be able to sit a little bit more comfortably and motor out. But I couldn't get away with what I could get away in the V-hull in this boat, which means like I had to put gear somewhere. I just don't have a big deep V, which you can just make a pit to throw all your wet stow in. I had to make a wet stow somewhere. That's the only reason this deck is out this far. You see some of these guys, even some of the people who heckle this channel, they make the back deck all the way almost to the center 50. And what are you supposed to do on that? You're supposed to like lean back and hold it. Like you're supposed to lay down like casually like a couch. So I don't know, some of these people, they lack perspective in actual layouts, and I just hope you guys don't do that to your boat. Just try and keep it conservative if you're doing a tiller build. If you're doing a console build, then obviously you can run it. You can do all kinds of things to the back that because you're sitting in the middle somewhere. But that's whatever. It's whatever. Boat cannot be whatever you want in salt. It has to be anti-fouling or oil-based, which is anti-fouling, I think. Maybe it's not. I don't really know. I'm not gonna sit and pretend like I know what I'm talking about in saltwater because I don't. V-hull, not B-hull. V like V, deep V, aluminum hull. Yeah, they say anti-fouling paint. Anti-fouling paint if you're going to leave your boat docked in the water because it's the most resistant to corrosion and barnacles sticking to the hull. Like so stuff doesn't grow on your boat as it's just there. Your boat doesn't become a natural part of the ocean. That's what anti-fouling paint is for. But other than that, you can I would say oil-based enamel by itself is extremely durable against salt. That is what we painted the aircraft carrier for. Tons and tons of haze gray or smoke gray Rust-Oleum oil-based enamel, just tons of it. Tons of it. What? The Garmin Fish Finder? That thing is a Garmin EchoMap 93 SV or 94 SV. It's strictly just so I can view the Panoptics. It's like the minimum fit finder that you would need to get from Garmin to be able to view the life scope. I would have also really liked to gator glide the bottom of this boat, but I did not do it. I did not do it. Did not have the patience to do it. So I left that gone. But I could possibly get gator glide my other boat. Might do that. All right. What box behind me? I don't have a Garmin box. Oh, no, that's the same thing. That box is just this fish finder. It's just up there. That's just that. Yeah. I heard the pros are like running 3 fish finders. I guess one for a map. Which makes sense, right? You can see all the contours and the transitions, and I think if you got a Humminbird, you got really, really good maps. So you can run 3, but 3's looks. I mean, you start running out of places to step. I'm really over that. With a V-hull, they taper like that, and you have like this little bit to step on, and I'm almost falling in the water all the time after running all this crap up there. And then with the last boat we did, that had a true Coast Guard front, and there was all that room, and it was so nice to just be able to step on there without feeling you're gonna fall off. This one, right in the middle, not as wide as the other one, still kind of tight, but it still has the tapered Mod V front to so I have a spot to step. And we'll probably make the trailer a little trailer mod step right here, so I can just transition from there onto the boat. We have to do some work to this trailer. It's got problems. We're also going to be adding gatorback bunks that light up on this boat. I'm trying to like do some extra stuff to this boat because I don't want to build another boat for me. Like I'm thinking I've built enough, I failed enough, I've won enough to know, okay, what am I going to need to last me here now and in the future? And I don't have to replace anything as long as I can keep this tight. So this boat, with all that nonsense, all these hatches, all the elegance of this design, and a 60 horse back there. If I can't be happy with that boat, I just don't know what to say. Like, that boat should make me happy for the rest of my time. I don't plan on having another boat. The only way I could be unhappy with this boat is if it just gets owned in the waves, which I think these 16 footers, and this is actually a nice hull. It's got nice wide gunnels, and it's got a tapering. I think this will just take waves a little bit better in general. than the standard flat bottom. So I'm just hoping that it'll do that. And if you guys get a hole like this, snag it. It's worth the money. It's the nicest jumbo hole I've ever seen. A new one in 7 to 10 business months. I'm not building a new boat for B. I got to build other things, but not for me. So this one is a me boat, and that's it. And then I'm just gonna move on with life. But anyways, guys, this is what I got. I'm gonna build a nitro after this, and we're gonna do it with turf. You guys wanted turf? I don't know if I'm gonna do the rental fleet. It's a lot of work, but I mean, I'm trying to work that out too. You guys kind of talked me out of the rental fleet, saying that that boat's too nice to be destroyed. It's pretty much to have a boat in a rental fleet, you gotta send it out there and not care what happens to it or what it does to other people. And I'm trying to get there, and I'm trying to work it out with people. But until then, I don't really know. Again, 1270 will be the next one. Yeah, I don't know. We're past like the generation of KISS. I mean, we've done all we can with framing. Now we're having to start welding some of this stuff in. I can't really get away. I mean, most of this is riveted with 1/16, which I know some people have questions about 1/16, but 1/16 is fun. If you pick a section and you just move it like this, yeah, you can feel it physically flex, but the whole thing is the strength per span of the whole deal as it's attached to the rest of the frame with the lids on it. So these are 090 tracks. The hatch itself is 1/8, but the 090 on top of 1/16 inch framing equals 1/8. So as long as you have copious amounts of rivets like this through, it works. We have 1/16 because it's the easiest to DIY. Now you could, and we have, a very long time ago, bought a bunch of 1/8 inch aluminum angle, and then you try to tie it in like this, like, cross it in, and then put rivets. And what happens is you have this monstrously huge gap. 1/16, you don't really notice the gap. You can put wood over it, or you can put aluminum sheet over it and float it out, and you don't really notice. But the minute you go up to 1/8, then you notice the gap. So then you start having problems with the overlay. So then you have to go get 1/8 inch flat bar to overlay between the gaps, so the whole frame lays out flat, so you can even put a deck on it at all. Then you're at 1/4 inch thick aluminum in spots, and sometimes you end up getting 3/16 inch thick aluminum in spots. So your frame becomes obscenely heavy. And so the big thing was, oh, it's aluminum, it's gotta be lighter than wood. And then you got all these people riveting 1/8 inch aluminum together and getting it flat. And those frames had to weigh way more than any wood frame. And that was just a big thing we tried to just debunk a long time ago. Was the only time 1/8 inch is really good is like right now. A lot of this is 1/8 inch. It's because we welded it. Because when you weld it, you can make it all flush, and then it's about the same or weight as a riveted 1/16 inch frame, because you'll have overlay in spots in T-frame, but if you can just straight lay in angle or tubing, you can lay 16 gauge like aluminum tubing or 1/8 inch angle for framing. 1/8 inch tubing is a little excessive. That just depends on who you are, or how big your motor is back there. But an 1/8 inch welded frame in a 1/16 inch riveted frame, by the time you're tying it all in together, they weigh close the same, because you use less 1/8 than you will use 1/16 to frame out a boat like this. But it's whatever. I mean, obviously welding is going to be stronger. I would not rivet a 1/8 inch frame, because the only reason the rivets really work with a 1/16 inch frame is because it flexes, and the rivets themselves, remember, they're a full penetration all the way from top to bottom, which is good, but they're just one spot, and they can warp if there's too much stress on them. So the only time I ever noticed rivets ever warping, ever in the boats that are ripped apart, was when I use 1/8 inch framing. Then the rivets are just structurally not strong enough to hold like 6061 framing or even 6063 framing together. The framing is stronger than the rivets. Here, the framing is not stronger than the rivets. So it all flexes together in wave shutter or going down the road. It all works. So I have taken apart quite a few of my builds with 1/16 to redo them, and there was no structurally failing or shaking of the rivets. It was all still tied back together really well. My actual boat that this one is replacing, that I gutted and then just decided to build this one instead, that one had a whole 1/16 inch frame. Everything was done. It was a complete Gen X kit where we made the frames, lids, and hatches, everything out of 1/16. The whole deck, the whole frame, and I even had a 60 on that thing, and that thing flew, and I had no problems. That was actually my favorite boat. But I had done so many Frankenstein mods to it to make these things work to it, then I started to really despise it, because I was like, man, this is really getting out of hand. I didn't really foresee having any of this stuff on here ever. But then when I started, that's why I have all these conduits, because I will not go through it again. That means no matter what comes out on the market, I will be able to put it in this boat if I need it. So that was a bigger problem. Is the boat, I had built that boat way when I was like, as you advance in skill and you see these things, you're like, dang, I wish I would have done that, didn't that. This is a correct all your mistakes boat. That's what this boat is. This is what I would have done to the other one. But if I'd have built that boat like I built this one with fail safes and forward thinking, then I would still be using that boat, and it was all 1/16. I would have never gutted it. So I don't know. Like, to tell you, we've been doing this for a minute. And if you can weld 16 gauge, it actually is even stronger, because you get like little 1-inch runs here. You get some 2 and 3-inch runs there. See those? That actually, I didn't think that welding 1/16, because it's so flexible, would make it that much stronger. It really does actually make it a lot stronger than riveting. So, I mean, you don't really need to go all crazy like this one. That is like, let me show you something real quick. This is my Miller welder. You know, I got a 30-foot push-pull MIG gun. So it means it pushes aluminum wire through this section and then pulls it at the end, kind of like a spool gun would do, but it's through a MIG. And that allows me to drape that whole line through the boat. And the MIG gun is not near as bulky as a spool gun, so I can go in here and do all kinds of intricate stuff with it and get in angles I would never be able to get with any other welder. But that's excessive, because this is kind of what I'm doing. I became a junkie in this whole thing. You know, really, I just wanted to build boats because just to feed my fishing addiction and, you know, de-stress from my job, and then it turned into this. So I eventually had to get this, but that's because I'm doing this all the time. But if I was just trying to be a DIY person, trying to learn a new skill, even a hobbyist at this point, I can show you what kind of welder you can get. So, I mean, these tank, you'll need a tank. These are argon tanks. These are big. You don't need tanks this big. You can get a small one. Like, really, if you're going to be welding on a boat, but riveting mostly everything else, the bigger thing you're possibly going to have to weld is end caps on the transom and redoing all the holes on the transom, which we did to get all the millions holes. Have you ever found an old John boat with not 40 holes in the back? Now we only have 8. Well, 10. We'll do 12. Fuck, a lot. We have, okay, remember, but not 40. We don't have 40 holes in there anymore. Now we just have a nice welded, soon to be prepped up transom here. And obviously I had to weld some of these spots here. Some of these things you're not going to be able to do without welding. And one of them is the transom, and sometimes it's the bow. And then some, if you want to do some intricate things in the middle, you can. I mean, Anthony Jones, and Anthony's also at the Tennessee show probably today with my guys down there. He welds the whole frame and then puts it in the boat. I don't do that. That's a lot of work. I'll weld it right in here. Forget that. But he also has a spool gun. So let's talk about, I mean, so most of the standard welders that'll be able to weld aluminum. Check this one out. This is the Vulcan Omni Pro 220. And they have a titanium welder that's cheaper. But I would tell you, it's not so much cheaper that I wouldn't just tell you to get the Vulcan, because the Vulcan is actually pretty nice. This is a multi-process welder. I generally just use flux core in it all day to weld trailers. It's mainly what it does. It welds trailers and steel. It definitely had a hand in welding all these metal racks. Actually, I think it was a key thing. But then it has a spool gun that I have never used because I went and got that Miller. But I did have this for the longest time. It even comes with wire. Look at that. 0.035, 4042. That's like that cheap wire. You need 5356. Whatever. 4042 will work. It's just softer. Even comes with some extra tips. I'd have to bust this thing out just to try it. But that means I'd have to set the welder. Once you got the settings down on your welder, it's whatever. It's not so bad. Just get some scrap pieces, figure it out. I mean, I welded the, I know you had that titanium, Chris. That's why I'm recommending people don't get it and get the Vulcan, and because I've seen it. But the, I don't know, like, after welding trailers, which is nothing like welding aluminum, my first run welding aluminum, it looked like crap, like dog doo-doo. But then after a few runs, I figured out, okay, this is how fast I need to move. And then I was able to weld the transom in, and then weld the front in. And did it look like crap after I was done welding? Yes. But here's the whole thing. You can grind it off and sand it off with an orbital sander, and nobody knows. So you could be the most horrific welder, and a grinder and paint will just make it look great. It will, and it does. And that's how I get around it. Now, if you're going to go be a professional welder, then you have to have like heavy shit. You gotta like, because you ever seen welders like the weirdest people? Welders and jujitsu people. Like, their jokes, sometimes they make jokes online, and they're the weirdest jokes. You just got to wonder what kind of personality these people have. But it's pretty stagnant. And then the welding community is very, very critical. Like, I don't know, every once in a while I'll get a welder commenting on my stuff, and they're like, well, those are $25 an hour welds, or those are like $10 an hour welds. I'm like, is that a lot of money? I don't really know. I think welders are supposed to make more than that, right? Like, painters probably? I don't know. I don't see any painting memes, but there's always welders joking with each other and putting memes and then critiquing each other's welds and saying, well, you're worth this much money. I'm like, all right. So, I mean, if you're going to be professional, you probably need to know how to weld and weld good and just be really, really good at that one thing. Or you can just become your own DIY fabricator with a skill to weld. Like, you don't need to be in the NBA to play basketball, right? You don't need to be a professional welder to weld. Same thing. Same thing. It's just a skill that I acquired to get to the end goal, and that's all it is, and that's all it will ever be. And it's pretty easy. I would say it's super easy to start welding steel. For $400 you could, for a little under $2,000 you could weld aluminum. I think that was 1,100, 1,200. You can get a cheaper one. You can get the titanium. It's all right. The spool gun, I don't know. It's all right. You just get a warranty on it. And then Harbor Freight really honors the warranties like candy. They really will. So if you get a titanium, just get the warranty for it. But I would say between 800 to 1,200 for a welder that is decent enough from Harbor Freight to do it. You're gonna have to pay for the spool gun separately. So I think you're right, more like 1,500. Then you got to get a hood. You can get a cheap welding hood for $40. You got to get some MIG gloves. You could get TIG gloves. They're not as much protection, but you can move the gun a little easier because they're thinner. Then either a cotton shirt or a welding jacket like this. So right at or under $2,000, you can start welding. But that's a skill that you can carry on forever. So it's $2,000 for the initial investment, and obviously got to go through the pain of learning how to do it. But I mean, once you learn how to do it, it's an invaluable skill. It's saved me thousands and thousands of dollars and a whole lot of extra time, and has allowed me to do things that I would never, ever be able to do with rivets, ever. Trust me, we have tried to do everything we could with rivets, like to extents that people said were questionable. So it was worth it, but it's definitely not all there is. I mean, the ability to fabricate and think about stuff in your own head is much more important than like learning one single skill. It's the ability to take a bunch of skills in a multitude and stick it all in a boat and make it all work well. Elegance of design, knowing what you're talking about when you're bass fishing. Like, I'm not going to go build a pike or walleye boat. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, somebody could tell me, right? But I mean, all I've done my whole life is like fish for bass. And obviously bluegill and some of these other smaller species on occasion when they're in season, but mainly all bass. Bass, striper, largemouth, smallmouth. And so all my ideas kind of came in here. That's from constantly fishing, running into problems, and then solving them. This boat, if I pull it off right, a good tiny boat solves all problems. All of them. So where you're on the lake and you're like getting skunked, it's your fault. It's your fault. You can't blame the boat. But before I would blame the boat, I'd be like, stupid boat. If I freaking had a subfloor, my feet weren't soaked, or if I wasn't stepping on my rods, or if I could find my gear, if I could just stow it in one place. And then you start solving all those problems, and you realize it's just you. You suck at fishing. You're talking about me, but not you guys. So, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, my phone's gonna die. Anyways, you guys are awesome. You guys really are. And man, I'm tired. I gotta drive tomorrow. The MiG 180 for spool gun, and I have the TIG 225. Which one are you talking about? What, Prime Weld? Yeah, Prime Weld is good. Prime Weld is better than that, and probably cheaper. That's a good one. Good call, Chris. I forgot about Prime Weld. But Prime Weld is just not readily available in a store. You got to order that online, but it's probably worth it. Prime Weld is probably going to be a little bit better welder than this. Actually, the Vulcan is really nice. I'm sorry. Like, Prime Weld's got all analog digital stuff, but I mean, and I've watched Chris weld with the Prime Weld in the spool gun, and it did really good. I do not know how this performs with a spool gun, but I've seen people do it on YouTube, which is why I bought it to begin with. It is all right. You know, it was like, it's a good backup. Actually, I have an Everlast welder down here. That's a really nice machine. If you're going to try and go in the middle, like you want something nicer than the mainstream welders, that's a Pulse multi-process welder. And that one back there is a Pulse multi-process welder. So, but it's really only for MIG, but multiple MIG styles. So yeah, you could just, I don't know. I don't know what I was doing. I haven't even used that green welder yet. Chris, you need a welder? You want that Everlast? It can make that happen. It's not, I don't know if I'm ever going to use it. The thing is a workhorse. It never fails. It never fails. The other thing you might, if you start outgrowing the Vulcan, it's because like you started welding a lot. I noticed when I was welding thicker and thicker aluminum on, steel on trailers, I was burning through tips a lot. Then you find out that the gun is not actually rated for as much amps as the welder can put out. So I burned out the gun, and then trying to get a gun was really terrible. Other than that, like, the Vulcan that's the only problem I ever ran into the Vulcan. Where if you get a real nicer one, like a Miller or an ESAB or an Everlast, and you need parts, they're there. And most professional welding shops recognize those brands, so they'll have parts. Will a flapper disc? What's a flapper disc? I would try to just be real careful around the rivets. The rivets are very soft. It's pretty easy to grind them down. Yeah, Chris, hit me up if you want that Everlast. Your drive down. No, we'll just have to pack it up. It came in a box. It can go back in a box, and I'll just bulletproof that box. I'll get packing material, and we'll just send it. You see what I did there? You guys can, yeah. It free up space in my garage, and plus it'll help you guys out there because I know you guys are struggling down there with your titanium welders. He talks crap. He talks all kinds of crap about us pulsing because we have pulse MIGs, Nate and I. But when he tries this Everlast and he sticks 3/64 inch welding wire through that pulse, he's never gonna go back. You're never gonna go back, Chris. You're gonna turn just like us. You're gonna do it. Welder your way. I can't give that welder away. That's too much. That's like a business invest. That's part of my business. That's why I can send it up to Chris because they're obviously part of the whole thing. But anyways, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and end this again. I know I've tried to end it like 4 times, but you guys are so awesome. I love hanging out with you guys. But we've been here for like almost 80 minutes and it's ridiculous. I don't know how my phone's still working. I'm gonna take off, guys. I appreciate you all, and I'll talk to you guys later. See ya.